Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Hard Truth. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are just straight inspiration. Much love to each and every one of you. All right, we've got new documents. Leah Larkin has dropped an affidavit talking about the DNA in the Idaho 4 case. Now, you know we need to talk about this. Well, tonight I will be talking about it in my live. In this video, I'm highlighting everything that I will be talking about tonight in my live about the new Leah Larkin document. All right? What do you think about that? Now, in the meantime, grab that coffee, a nice cup of tea as we begin our story. All right, here's our new document. Good morning to everyone. It says Notice of Filing Affidavit of Leah Larkin in support of defendant's third motion to compel. All right, let's start with Larkin's credentials. Let's see who we're dealing with here. Here's the curriculum vitae for Leah Larkin. And what stood out to me was, let's see, 2008 to 2010, Assistant Professor of Biological Sciences, University of the Pacific. All right, that's good. Anything to do with biology is good. Instructor at a community college in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Again, biology. You know, that's what I would have wanted to see. Research Assistant Professor of Biology, University of New Mexico, Albuquerque, 2004 to 2008. Okay. Biochemistry Research Technician, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania. Solved case studies in genetic genealogy, Eventbrite. When your tree is a banyan, untangling endogamy. Working with Watto. What are the odds? All right, so I think that Ms. Larkin is very much qualified to speak on this. And I'm just going to highlight the things that caught my attention here. And then I will be discussing these in the live tonight at 8:45. All right. Once again, I'm only highlighting the things that grab my attention that I intend to discuss tonight in the live so that you will have a heads up. We can have a really good discussion. All right. Let's start with number 5. It says genetic genealogy primarily uses autosomal DNA tests that were originally designed for biomedical research. We want to see biomedical throughout these documents because the genealogy tests need to be biomedical. I understand that we have genealogy trees, you know, where you're building the family tree, but that's not the same as biomedical testing, you know, where the actual DNA profile of the individual is involved. All right, so to me, that's important. Okay, these companies all provide genealogy tools to their customers on their websites and also produce a raw DNA data file that the customer can download. And then further down, it says the genetic profile is not the same as an STR profile that is commonly uploaded to CODIS in a forensic DNA analysis. So the STR and the raw data file don't produce the same information. I thought that was very important, and we'll talk about that a little later. Okay, let's go to number 6. Most of the human genome is identical across all people. Interesting. Only the DNA positions that vary between individuals are useful for genealogy. These variable positions are called single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs. All right, the direct to consumer genealogy companies use a type of test called a microarray that samples roughly 600,000 of these DNA SNPs. Unlike the STR markers used for matching encoders, SNPs can convey information about medical and physical traits as well as biological relationships to close and distant cousins. All right, underline that word cousins. All right, so we'll definitely be talking about number 6. All right, the STR and the SNP are not the same. The SNP can convey information about close and distant cousins, in addition to medical and physical traits. All right, let's go to number 8. A standard DNA microarray requires approximately 200 NGs of quality DNA. You have to have a certain amount, okay? The quality and quantity is often not available from crime scenes or degraded human remains. Instead, specialized laboratories can generate a SNP profile through a more complex process. All right, and so if you don't have enough or you don't have a very big sample, which is the case here in the Idaho 4 case, there is a more complex process that must be followed or should be followed to get an identification, one that will stand up in court, basically. All right, first they attempt to sequence the entire genome using next generation sequencing technology. Remember, the FBI said they didn't use the technology to find the DNA. They went online and used one of these ancestry.com websites. That's very important, okay? No next generation sequencing technology was used. We know that from the documentation. Okay, it says this technology works a bit like skimming while reading a document. On the first pass, the technology will not capture all of the data and it may make mistakes. NGS, or is this our SNPs? Yeah. No, next generation sequencing involve repeated passes called coverage to get more accurate results. For human genome sequences, 30 times to 50 times coverage is recommended. That is absolutely fascinating. All right. And then what caught my eye is this sentence: on the first pass, NGS technology will not capture all of the data and it may make mistakes. All right. We're going to talk about it. Let's keep moving. Number 12. The genetic genealogy databases are siloed from one another. If you test the ancestry DNA and your sibling tests at 23andMe, you will not be matched to one another because you're not in the same database. So whatever you got for Brian Kohberger from this database that you used does not guarantee that that's the exact outcome you're going to get if you use a different matching database. All right, so I'm not sure which one the FBI used. I have to go back and look. I should know that, but I don't. I don't know if they use Ancestry, GED Match, like 23andMe, but they're saying that they're not all producing a duplicate product, depending on which one you use. Okay, a user can upload their raw DNA data file from their testing company and find matches to people who uploaded to GED Match from different companies. That is incredible. I'm going to read that again. A user can upload their raw DNA data file from their testing company to GED Match and find matches to people who uploaded to GED Match from different companies. Like GED Match, Family Tree DNA, and MyHeritage also allow uploads of raw data files. Ancestry DNA and 23andMe do not. That is incredible, mind-blowing. So we need to know exactly which one the FBI used for Brian Kohberger and his father's profile. We need to know that definitely, not speculation. We need to know exactly which one they use. All right, and we're going to talk about that tonight. Almost there. Number 18. What are the odds? Is not intended to give a definitive answer. Rather, it points the genealogist toward the most likely branches in the tree for further research. The tool is also not appropriate for all circumstances. For example, it is not intended for populations that marry within themselves, for double cousins, or when most of the matches are below 40 cm. That is so interesting to me and very relevant to this case. All right. Marriage to within the family, that's pretty easy to find, especially on Ancestry. I was able to see um, several marriages from branching out from the parents, Brian's parents. So we should be able to get some very good information from that. And also we can learn what 40 cm means and its significance in detail. All right. So this should keep us busy for a while. What are the odds? Okay, two more. No, three more. Number 19. The genealogist needs to do this for both the maternal and paternal sides of the person of interest pedigree. We can stop right there. We need mom and dad. Okay? Is there a time when Mrs. Kohberger's DNA was collected to bring the profile full circle, and we can say without a doubt that this is Brian Kohberger's DNA, his mother and his father? Their DNA are present and strengthen the profile. Okay? Do we have that? I don't think so. We're going to talk about it. I don't want to give away too much. Before the live tonight, I want you to come revved and ready to go. Okay? I'm giving you a head start so you can have a real good argument against me. All right. Next, number 20. All of the proof. Let's see. This process can vary in complexity depending on the individual's starting point. So important. And we know the starting point was the lab in the Idaho lab and then the Texas lab. And according to the Idaho State lab, the New York Post, and some different things from Howard Bloom, there was nothing on the first testing at the starting point. And we have to acknowledge that. A lot of people who want to crucify Brian Kohberger, they're ignoring this point, and they get mad and they unsub and all kinds of things when I point out this type of thing. But the fact of the matter is, the truth will set you free, because we got a long ways to go with this stuff, and my narrative is not going to change. I'm looking for the truth. Okay? And the point of the matter is, they're telling us what this DNA process is about, what it entails, what you can expect, and the person speaking here is qualified to say these things. In my opinion, Leah Larkin did a phenomenal job in presenting this information. You can look at her footnotes, okay? She's quoting her work, her previous work, 2017 Cystic Fibrosis, a case study in genetic privacy, very relevant articles. I mean, what are the odds? By who is this? Johnny Pearl, Leah Larkin, and okay, so she's done research and collaborated with other people on this, and her documentation style is excellent. And so I am completely impressed with this affidavit because the presentation is very appropriate. All right. So we were on what? Let me see. We had one left. We did number 20. Only one left is 22B. Okay, I wanted to do 22B. I am aware of the Department of Justice interim policy to limit when forensic genetic genealogy can be used and which databases are accessible to law enforcement. It is possible for the databases to be utilized in a way that circumvents these core principles. Okay, she's saying these tenets have to be not only recognized but abided by, or the prosecution has to worry about losing this case on a technicality. And we talked about that already. Okay, notably, I am aware of, and I am interested in letter B, investigative genetic genealogists uploading SMP profiles to a forbidden database in violation of that company's terms of service and the Department of Justice interim policy. I mean, this is just outstanding. She's saying, hey, there are rules to this DNA game. Okay, you don't just get somebody's DNA profile and use it in a criminal investigation. There are rules to the game. And there are certain things that you can't upload and certain places that you can't upload to. And especially if you're law enforcement, there are some databases you're not even supposed to be using. Okay, and so the SNP profiles to a forbidden database is grounds for a technicality that could get the case thrown out. There are several here, but I just want to highlight that one. Okay, so we're going to talk about these things tonight in the live. And before I close this out, I want to give a throwback of when I did the research on Brian Kohberger and his father's DNA using one of these online DNA databases. All right, so stay tuned for that. Just wanted to see what would happen if I put Brian Kohberger in for Ancestry and see if I could get some names. I found two things that were very interesting. The first thing is that no matter how I entered the information or how much I put in, the only person that had hints was the father, Michael Kohberger. He was the only one that had hints throughout the whole session. And I tried to record some of it, but I wasn't switching screens and I thought I was. So I have to show you screenshots. But Michael Kohberger kept popping up with the leaf for hint. As you can see, he has 3 hints. All right, just off the rip, he had 3 hints. And so I'm thinking that this is why they said they got his DNA out of the trash, because he is the easiest one to match. There was a boatload of information for Mr. Kohberger when it was like pulling teeth to find anything for Mrs. Kohberger, Miss Marianne Kohberger. And there was nothing for Brian. I don't know if it was scrubbed or I needed the advanced search. The second thing that I found very, very interesting is that somebody was adding, okay, as I was adding information to the tree, I added Mr. Kohberger's mother. And when I added his mother, her obituary came up from 1999. But somebody added her obituary, added her information January the 5th, 2023. So why would somebody be updating the Kohberger's family tree 5 days after his arrest? All right, that's serious for me.